Hello, children. So, children, till now we have discussed about the first order, that was the clergy, second order, that is nobility, and the third order, that was the peasant. And in peasant we have discussed about free and unfree peasant, right? And also we have discussed about the fourth order which got emerged, that was the towns and townspeople. That what was the reason how the fourth order has got emerged, that we could see that the population has increased, there was a growth in trade, and this lead to the development of town, right? So we all have discussed about this, and in our today class we will discuss with the cathedral town. Okay, now what do you mean by cathedral? That is, cathedral was a large church, and many small town was built around the church was the cathedral town. Clear? That is, the area around the cathedral became much populated, and the cathedral was built of a stone, and the window of the cathedral church was made in such a way that at morning the sun ray used to enter the church. Clear? And at night the candle light, or we can say the candle light ray, used to pass out from the church and used to give light outside. Clear? Now the cathedral was designed in such a way that the priest's voice was being heard clearly within the hall, where large number of people used to gather. Clear? And the bell was hung in such a place that when it used to be ring, it voice, that a ringing voice used to be heard over the distance. Clear? Now this is all about the cathedral town. Now the next is the crisis of the 14th century. So by the early 14th century, economic expansion in Europe has slowed down. Clear? As we have seen that before the 14th century, there was a growth in the population, there was a growth in the trade. Clear? And even this has led to development of town. Many economic has been prosperous, there was a growth in the economic activities. Okay, but by the early 14th century we could see that the economic expansion in Europe has slowed down, and there was some reason for that. So what was the reason? The first one is severe famine has hit between 1315 and 1317. As earlier what we have seen is that there was a change in the environment which has led to the production, cultivation of the crops in huge abundance, isn't it? Now in the early 14th century we have seen that season for growing crops were reduced by a month. As in the early 14th century there was certain change in the environment, due to which the growth in the crop production has decreased. Now there was severe storm, flood. This all has destroyed the farmland, which had led to the decrease in the taxes for the government, and the population growth has caused shortage of resources, and this has immediately resulted to the famine, and due to which many people have lost their life. Clear? Now secondly what we can see is that Western Europe was hit by epidemic between 1347 and 1350. Clear? It means that from other countries' port the ship used to come carrying goods, but along the goods it also brought rat. What it brought? Rat in the ship. That rat has carried the deadly bubonic plague infection. That was a disease that rat was carrying, was a bubonic plague, and this has spread to all over the countries, and many people has lost their life. As right now we are facing the COVID-19, that is the corona disease, isn't it? Till now government has not succeeded to provide any medicine, or we can say any vaccine for the corona, isn't it? So similar at that time also for bubonic plague in early 14th century there was no medicine, due to which the population of Europe was being affected, as people lost their life, and the population of Europe has decreased as 73 millions in 1300. It was, we could see In 1400, the population has decreased to 45 million. Clear? So this was the crisis in the 14th century. So next is the social unrest. Now the income of the lord was badly hit. Why? As because in early 14th century we have seen famine, epidemic has badly affected the life of the people, isn't it? Even agriculture was badly affected, due to which farmers suffer a lot, and they were not able to pay taxes to the lord, that is to the novel. Clear? Now the second state, that is the novel, were unable to collect tax from the common people, and even they were not able to pay taxes to the king. So for that reason their salary was decreased. So the when the salary of the novel got decreased, so the novel again what he did, they have raised the taxes and they tried to revive the labor services, that was unfree and unpaid labor system they was trying to impose. But this time we could see that some changes has occurred, as because the literate peasant, they raised their voice, they revolted against the landlord. Clear? Like in 1323, peasants revolted in Flanders, and in France also in 1358, the peasant has revolted against the landlord, and in 1381, the peasant, they have revolted in England against their landlord for they are imposing the taxes upon them. Clear? But despite the revolt, the second estate tried to ensure the old feudal relation, but they could not reimpose it. Clear? So this all social unrest led to the political change. Okay, so in 15th and 16th century, European kings strengthened their military and financial power, clear, to be strong, and created powerful state. Clear? Now king like Louis XI in France, Maximilian in Austria, Henry VII in England, Isabella and Ferdinand in Spain were the absolute dictatorship of type of king. They were dictator king, and they brought many changes, like they started the process of organizing standing army, that is they built the strong armies. Even they imposed the taxation, that is the national taxation they have implemented. Even permanent bureaucracy was been set up. Clear? Now the main impact of the political changes that was been brought by the king was, we can say that, to create powerful army they have created. Now secondly, we can see that use of the gunpowder and cannon. Against the third state, they have used this gunpowder and cannon. Why? Whoever will revolt against the lord, they are going to use this gunpowder and cannon against the people, that is the against the revolter. Okay, now decline of the feudal structure, we could see they have organized a tax system, that is how much king will get tax, who will pay how much tax, that all was been fixed. And they have suppressed the feudal law, the power or the rights of the feudal lord was also been suppressed. Growth of money, that is economic based activity, was been increased. Clear? And the struggle between king and parliament was defended, due to which parliamentary system came in England and France. Okay, now we could see that in 1614 Louis XIII he formed a general state in France. In general state, what we can see is that there was a three state was there, that is clergy, nobility and common people. Now for there, they can they used to have general voting for passing any rules and regulation. For that reason this general state was been created, but this general state was made for the namesake, that is for 2 centuries till 1789 no meeting was been conducted. Clear? And if we see of England parliamentary system, we will find that there was two types, that is the House of Lord and House of Common, as we are having in India Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, right? So in England parliamentary we will find House of Lord and House of Common. Under the House of Lord comes the king, clergy, bishop, and House of Common, they were the include the common people of town and rural area. Now if House of Common will make any law, what they need to do? They need to take permission from the House of Lord. Clear? And this system has continued for long period. Like King Charles I ruled for 11 years without calling the Parliament. Clear? Now children, if we see of today, of France and England, what we will find is that France had a republican form of government and England has a monarchy form of government. Clear? And the histories of the two century took after the 17th century. Clear? And this history was built after the 17th century. Clear? So children, this is all about the chapter 6 reorder. So we have completed our chapter. I hope it was been understood to you all. If any confusion, you could ask me. Thank you.